Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass the Move, and welcome back to another Football Manager 2018 experiment. So this time around, what it's all going to be about is that I've selected the worst possible manager in the game, and I've put him in Manchester United, given him all the money in the world, well, basically the maximum amount, of course, and I just want to see how well he would have done. The likelihood is he would have only survived 6 months, got fired in the winter period or something along the lines of that. But just in case, I've given him 3 years just to see how he would have done, and whether someone, whether management's overrated and it's all about money or not. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to try and find him. Let's go to Manchester United without, I'm going to try and go to Manchester United without figuring out what happened to them. Let's go to City. Alright. So, Manchester United won the title this season. But the question is it the same manager or did they hire someone else? Let's have a look. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's the same manager. Alright, so he's not officially the worst manager in the world. But I had all the managerial stats set at a maximum of 5 attributes. So he's actually improved in man management once, motivating 5, ability and potential in terms of judgment 1 and 2, and tactical knowledge has stayed the same. And he's I went with someone who has a bit of a fairly ambitious or positive personality, just to give him a bit more edge. And so he doesn't struggle too much. But yeah, when he actually moved to Manchester United, he was a player manager, which is why it says here that he joined 2017 and then he came back in 2019. It's not like he left and then came. It's just because he's probably in 2019 retired and just went on as a manager. The likelihood is also that, as you can see here, studying for Continental A at license, it looks like he's continuously trying to improve himself, which is very good. But more shocking than anything is how well he's done at Manchester United. We saw he won the title this season. The question is how he did in his previous seasons. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was perfect. He's not, like I mentioned, not the worst manager in the world. There's a couple of managers who had the best attributes at a maximum of 5. I just went with him because I thought it would be quite interesting to see someone as a player manager and how he would have got on and all of that. So he did actually survive 3 seasons. It's usually enough time for a manager to actually have a serious impact on the club. If you haven't really done anything within 3 seasons' time to give your team a bit of hope, then you should be moved on, basically. But that's a different story entirely. Let's try and figure out how he's done. So, history, milestones, Manchester United, overall, I guess. But we don't want to go through each one. This is his awards. He's manager of the year this year. Got a couple of ones, 2018 manager of the year as well. He might have won the league then. Right, so I don't even want this either. How do we... Landmarks. Okay, so I think the landmarks is when it comes to trophies, and he's only won it in his 3rd season in charge. The question is how on earth he survived 3 seasons at Manchester United. So that's a different story entirely. If I have a look at the competitions, knocked out in the semis, runners up in the league last season, and finished 4th in his 1st season. So he would have met the continental expectations of the club at the 1st season. After that, he managed to get 2nd, which the board must have been happy with, and then 1st in his last season. So he did quite well, but he struggled to make any impact in terms of cup competitions. He hasn't, he didn't necessarily do too poorly. He got knocked out in the first knockout round in his 1st season. Or actually, no, it wasn't the knockout round. He even won against Manchester City. How far did he go? Oh, got knocked out by Chelsea in the semi-finals of the Champions League. That's incredible. 5th round is kind of disappointing, but it is Tottenham, so fair enough. And the Carabao Cup just got knocked out by Crystal Palace in the 3rd round. But the board don't care about the Carabao Cup anyways. In the 2nd season, how far did you get, mate? Knocked out by Chelsea, Carabao Cup. Again, that doesn't matter too much. Knocked out by Watford in the FA Cup wouldn't have helped him. But again, he got to the semis and got knocked out by Madrid, so the board would have, sort of somewhat been okay with the FA Cup. And he also became runners-up in the Premier League. In his last season, knocked out by Tottenham. It looks like United got quite a poor draw in the Carabao Cup. And in the FA Cup, they went as far as the semis, but they were knocked out by Reading. So the board might have been okay with semis, but they would have probably unhappy that they got knocked out by Reading. But in the Champions League, he got knocked out by Manchester City in the semi-final again. So he's not doing too poorly in cup competitions, but you would have expected that he would have got one or two more, at least in particular in the domestic. Or not, you wouldn't have expected, just on the basis of him winning the Premier League, you would have expected it. But initially, there was zero expectations. Like I mentioned, I actually expected him to get fired within 6 months' time. So he's gone far beyond our expectations. Obviously, he had very good situation set up to him. But the truth is, based on his attributes, he really shouldn't be doing that well at all. And so maybe management is a hint overrated, and that he just, it's all about the stature of the club and the players players at your disposal, as well as the money. So we did give him a ton of money. We can actually have a quick look at Manchester United's finances. It's secure now, but at the time I obviously gave him $1 billion or something around that. Basically, I just maxed out all the finances. Let's have a look at the finances now. What is that? This comma here. So he's got bank balance of 119 million. Must have spent a ton. A transfer budget of 3 million and a wage budget of 4 million. Okay, so it looks like he definitely spent a ton of money by the looks of it, unless Manchester United's debt took over or something. But really, to go from $1 billion to 100 million is kind of astonishing in truth. But either way, we'll have a look at just who he bought in. But of course, you have a little hints here by Tierney and Dybala. Standard United signings, really. To be honest, maybe he could have set the director of football to be in charge. I'm not sure if United have a director of football in charge, but that's a different story. So, at least for this season, Anthony Martial was sold to Tottenham. Quite an interesting decision that. Pereira was left to go for free. Alex Telles, who I'm guessing they bought earlier on, was also sold as well. So he's not, he's not shy of selling players. He also sold Antonio Valencia, Joel Pereira for some decent money. But in terms of his ins, Dele Alli, Ricardo Pereira. Bear in mind, this isn't for this transfer window, of course, it's the last summer's one. But yeah, Dele Alli, Ricardo Pereira, Nicolas, Federico Valverde, Mario Balotelli for free, and Dean. So he's really not shy in terms of spending his money. If you ask me, he actually spends it quite well. Dele Alli was always going to be an expensive signing, and he's a top player, of course. Ricardo Pereira is kind of standard money nowadays for a player. These two are somewhat bargains. He signed Mario Balotelli, which is a bit weird, but it's still a free transfer. And then Dean as well as someone to look out for in the future. Unambitious personality is not exactly the best decision to make, but who knows? He won a Premier League title, and it's not me who won it. Okay, so let's go back one more. So in his second season, he really went all out. 424 million spent. But just quickly, in terms of the outs, a couple of players on loan. Rojo was eventually sold. Smalling, Lingard, Antonio Valencia was loaned this season before being sold the next. Sergio Romero to Turkey. So again, not, he's completely happy getting rid of some Manchester United stars and bringing in his own, and you can't blame him when he brings in the likes of Griezmann, Belotti, crazy signings. Dybala signed all of them in one season. That's quite incredible, to be honest. But yeah, again, he's not doing too poorly in the transfer budget. He's not in the transfer the transfer window. He's not being taken for granted. He's not taken advantage of. These are sort of standard prices for the type of players he's bringing in, and he still invests in some decent players. This is a youngster, I guess. Sort of somewhat standard signing for somewhat normal money spent on an international player. He's valued at 40 million anyway, so it looks like he actually got kind of a bargain there. Another youngster, Mario Fernandez, a hint expensive, but he's valued highly at his club, CSKA Moscow. Ruben as well, just very standard money. He never really overspends in terms of each individual player, but of course he was very happy to exploit the 44 million. This is the second season, so I expect that this is when he actually spent the money. In the first season, I didn't disallow the transfer budget, so he could have sold and bought whoever he wanted, but I'm assuming he didn't take advantage of the money just yet. Okay, so he kind of did. 221 million spent in his first season, but again, no crazy over-the-board money spent. I mean, Jose Jimenez, again, expected money. Tierney, very normal money. Giovanni Dos Santos is a bit of a bargain in the game, regardless of where you buy him from. Daniel Pereira and Steven, again, all very normal money that they've spent. Pepe is a bit of an interesting one. But yeah, the outs were Phil Jones, Mathieu Darmian, and Ashley Young on loan. There's a team called Go Ahead. Damn, Go Ahead Eagles. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about them. But that name is incredible. But anyways, yeah, I mean, quite interesting signings he's made, definitely. We'll have a look at the players and who seems to be his most important ones, at least for this season. I can't look at previous seasons. In terms of appearances, David De Gea, Dybala, Tierney, Dele Alli, everyone in the 40-plus department has been his key player, so you can say from Matic onwards. So quite an interesting group of players here. Pereira playing as a right-back instead of a winger. Or at least the suggestion is that he did that in the last game. Let's have a look overall this season. Yeah, mostly as a right-back. Occasionally as a right winger and sometimes as a left back. But yeah, Dele Alli important as well. Tierney, Dybala, De Gea, sort of standard players. And in terms of goals, Dybala, 29 goals, 20 assists is as good as it gets, to be honest, in the game. One hell of a player he's proven to be. So you know, the manager's decision to buy him for that much money is justified. Lukaku, even though a bit of a backup now, probably still considered a first team player in terms of squad status, but you'd argue not as many appearances as he would have gotten without the other players. But yeah, 32 appearances and 14 substitute appearances, so not bad. He'd be happy with that game time. But yeah, 17 goals, 2 assists. Sanchez grabbing a bunch of goals as well. And that's kind of it. Let's have a look at average rating. We can have a quick look at the assists. Ricardo Pereira really enjoyed himself on right back spot. Matic, probably from central midfield or defensive midfield, doing quite well as well. Let's have a look at the average rating as well. Dybala, without a doubt. Griezmann's there too. But yeah, Pereira's being listed because he's unhappy, wants first team football. That's kind of understandable. It's interesting to see how many of the main Manchester United players that play right now have been key players for this manager. You know, he hasn't been playing Mata, for example. And he looks to have moved on quite a bit. Number of players. Bailly's become a bit of an important player, I guess, sort of a rotational player in truth, 27 appearances. But Rashford, really, very much so a backup player, kind of unfortunate. Let's have a quick look at the under-23, see if he's moved anyone down there. Are there any oldies down here? Dos Santos is here, but probably long-term injury. Yeah, that's why. Balotelli's down here as well for some strange reason. Sylvan is a player that he bought earlier. That's kind of it. So I'm assuming Carrick and Ibra, or was Ibra moved on, but Carrick probably just retired. So yeah, very, very interesting signings without doubt. Let's see what tactics he used that helped him win the league. A 4-3-3. So in a very how do you say this? You know, everyone knows in this FM18 the tactic to use to exploit other teams is a 4-3-3 formation. You can use a DM instead if you want some more defensive security, or you could just go for the straight 4-3-3, the flat one like he did here. But it's interesting he went for that, and it helped him win the league. And there's no surprise if you're playing with the front three of Griezmann, Dybala and Sanchez, you're bound to get some goals. So credit to him for exploiting the match engine himself. And he's definitely made full use of all the strikers that he bought in. I really thought that based on the transfers and whatnot, that he just bought in a bunch of strikers to try and you know, gun his way to the title. But he actually made use of his all his strikers. He's not just buying and, you know, being careless, I suppose, with the money. So this manager has been far better than I thought. Of course, he was handed a ton of money to do as he bids, but despite his poor managerial ability, he's still done really well, brought in quality players, came up with a good little system, and won himself the title within 3 years. So you know, I mean, Jose Mourinho is the current Manchester United manager. He hasn't won it in his first season. If he wins it next season, he's just as good as Bertie Braley. So I don't know whether it's an insult to Mourinho or a compliment to Bertie, but of course Bertie with a ton more money, but still, I definitely didn't see this happening at all. You can even see in his preferred formation it was a 4-3-3 narrow, so he stuck to his preferences. A mixed playing style, coaching style is all technical. Loves his technical players, I guess. Loves to play on the attack, loves to close down, and his marking zonal. He's got some backup formations, but I'm assuming he didn't really rely on it. But yeah, the board must be happy. They're paying him barely anything. He's got an extended contract to 2021. And fair play to him. He's done really well. No international caps. He's not really got any experience. Really, all he had in his favour was the money. and his personality, and that's just about it. He's gone for, you know, as much as coaching ability wise, he's trying to improve himself a lot, and that definitely ties in with his personality. But yeah, definitely done well. I want to see if he's actually played any games for United. So he was player manager, and he decided against playing himself in any games at all. So he's only played non-competitive games, 15 appearances of those. So I don't know, maybe he was playing himself in the under-23s. Seems a bit unusual. 6 sounds more like friendlies, but again, it's a bit too many friendlies. I have a feeling he must have been playing for the under-23s, and that's why it's not competitive. I'm only assuming, I have no clue. But still, grabbed himself 3 goals, 2 assists. That's not too bad. Second season, 1 assist. Yeah, fair play to him. Definitely props to the guy. I had 0 expectations, or 0 positive expectations for the guy, and he's still done really well. Even his overall stats are just not that good. It really is not for a club like Manchester United, at least. Just adaptability is pretty much the only thing that goes in his favour. But yeah, so I think that's all for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, of course, please hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And yeah, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching.